Today's real estate ride is with Brandy Tressler of Universal Settlement Services. One of the most important pieces of the puzzle. Hey!
Hello.
What's happening?
Oh, nothing.
First of all, stop the presses. Stop the presses.
Very pregnant.
Whoa! You know what? I was thinking, I'm gonna mention you got married. I was gonna say, when am I gonna be Uncle B.A.? So I guess you've already sort of answered that question.
Yes.
Damn! So when do you do?
August 3rd.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, so the title company is, other than the underwriter, in my opinion, is the most important piece of the mortgage puzzle. But a lot of people, especially first-time home buyers, don't understand what title work is. So can you just explain that part of it?
Yes. So title, it's that one piece of the loan that everyone's like, what is this? So title, what we do is our job is to research the property, the documents, to make sure that there's no liens on the property. So is there a mortgage that needs to be paid off? Is there taxes that are due? Our job is to make sure that the property that's being transferred is free and clear of all liens and judgments.
Right. And you go back how many years on that?
60 long years.
Now, okay, I get this question a lot, and I'm gonna tell my story, and then I want you to tell us a crazy story from what you've been doing. So a lot of people who buy land and build a house, they'll say, well, why do I need title work if it's a new build? So back in 2003, my folks bought a place in Florida, and then a couple years later, there was unexploded bombs found on the playground. So somewhere between the development company and the government, it wasn't relayed that the land that the community was built on used to be a World War II bombing site. So they ended up finding like 26 unexploded bombs. And they couldn't find them under houses, they could just find them in the grass. So title work was one of the ways that they made people whole in the process. Okay. So now that I've told that story, give me a crazy title story.
We just had, well, this is a couple years ago, it was just land, it wasn't even new construction. We had a seller, the transaction went fine, they got title insurance, which was an owner's policy, got all of that, and I think it was 6 months later, they came, the door like swung open to our office, and they're like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I was like, what is wrong? She's like, we got this letter from this attorney, we're being sued. And I said, what? So I grabbed the paper. The seller, it wasn't the current seller, it was the seller before, it was an estate, and the executor thought that his father was taken advantage of with all the sold the whole, like,
with the transaction, yeah. Right.
So they ended up hiring, that executor ended up hiring an attorney and suing every individual landowner that was in that development. And it was just land. It wasn't even a house. Right. It was just land. Our buyer, obviously 100% fully protected, didn't have to hire an attorney. There was 3 other closings at the same time. 2 of them did not get an owner's title insurance policy. Wow. They ended up having to pay their attorney to respond to the letter, to do the research, do all the stuff, and ended up costing them more than what if they would have gotten an owner's title insurance policy.
Wow. Yeah, and explain that part, the owner's policy versus the lender's policy.
Sure. So a lender's policy protects the lender's investment in the property.
The loan amount.
The loan amount, yep. And then the owner's title insurance policy protects the owner for the purchase price, usually up to the purchase price, for their protection. So when they pay off the mortgage, they're sitting there all pretty much naked.
Yeah, so it's in someone's best interest if they have a lot of equity in the house to have an owner's policy.
And even if they don't, even if they're just getting, if they're getting a VA loan and the loan's more than the purchase price,
right? They
have an owner's policy and it didn't cost any extra because it's part of the whole loan. Yeah,
right.
So it's just if it doesn't, I understand a lot of people get like, what does this do? Like, do I really need to do it? 9 times out of 10, you're not going to ever use that owner's title insurance policy. I would say 5 out of every 10 files that we do right now, in the last like couple of months, we've had problems with had to resort back to the owner's title insurance policy.
Right. So for the even if it's an extra $100, $200, it's probably worth it to get the owner's policy.
Yeah, we had one. Actually, we're dealing with it right now. The mortgage from 4 sellers ago was never satisfied. Our underwriter is asking, did they get an owner's policy? We can just ask for a letter of indemnity, and they didn't. So now we're going back through. The closing is delayed because it's an open-ended mortgage. It's still on the property. They can still draw from it.
Wow.
And it's transferred 4 times, and they still haven't.
No one was on
no one's caught it.
Okay, so let's go back to like what got you interested in the business. How long have you been in the business?
I was actually just a receptionist at a mortgage company when I graduated from high school, and I really wasn't interested in real estate. I guess in some realm I wanted to go to school for architecture, and I ended up just being a receptionist, and then that led to learning the loan process, which then led to let's try to be a processor.
Right.
And then it was, hey, the lady at the title company quit, can you fill in for a little bit? And I'm still filling in.
So yeah, so I remember when it was just you, and now it seems like every time I go into your office there's another employee. Like, how many people are now currently with Universal Settlement Services?
There is one in Altoona, so we have our Altoona office staffed, and then there is a total of 9 of us, 10 of us.
Which also brings up the point, you must be killing it. So what has been your secret, other than I know you work your ass off to get things done? What has been your secret?
Customer service. I think that seems to be the biggest complaint that I hear from loan officers and realtors, is just customer service. Calling someone back, answering the phone, getting to the bottom of problems, not just letting them sit there. Right.
Now, I have no fiduciary relationship with you at all, but I can speak on the mortgage side, is that we just never hear no from you. Like, if there's an issue, luckily, actually, I haven't had any issues recently, but if there's something last minute, you guys always seem to be accommodating. And the big thing is you will travel.
Yes.
You will close at 7 a.m. or you'll close at 7 p.m. or you'll go to someone's office, so that the convenience factor seems to be really high with you guys. Would that be accurate?
Yes, very accurate.
All right, so no, that's awesome. And last year, 2017, how was that year for you? How many families do you think you helped?
Close to 1,500. It was 1,489.
1,489, but you're not counting. And then, so for 2018, what is your goal of families helped?
I would like to hit between 2,000 and 2,500, but that will require properties on the market.
yeah. Everybody seems to be feeling the pain of a lack of inventory, which, I mean, I get that. I don't have the answer. I don't think anybody has the answers. I may have a couple, but on your end, are you seeing a slowdown in transactions?
Our January and February compared to last year is higher in closings. Not much, but our March seems to be kind of on track for the same as last year. It's just, I would say in the last 2 weeks, we've had a lot of new orders come through. It's just everyone just keeps complaining about the market right now. It's just, I mean, you can't find anything. If they do go on the market, you have multiple
offers. Yeah.
So it's just, it's going to be an interesting summer.
Well, yes, it is. Mostly, how are we planning on managing this behemoth of an office you have with changing Pampers? What's the game plan?
The baby's coming to work. I said I will be in the hospital for 3 days total, 2 in, and then I'll be at home, and then I'll be back in the office with baby in tow.
Well, that doesn't surprise me. You're the hardest working woman in show business. And where do you see the business growing? Like, what is there, like a 5-year plan, or is there a retirement plan, or you just love doing it so much you don't see any?
I don't see retirement I don't think, but I hope to open a few more offices. We have our Lewistown office that we're getting ready to open. We have a branch, an office in Lock Haven, obviously the one in Altoona. We would like to hit Bedford, and maybe even further down, like Williamsport. So
right.
A few more offices yet.
But maybe there's a plan to work less than 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Really?
Is there? I'm just asking. Just asking.
Eventually, like right now, the staff is awesome. They're phenomenal. I love them all, and I'm grateful for them. So right now, we've had such a great flow with who we have at the office now that I've been able to kind of not be staying too late. I still come in at 7. It's just in my blood.
Right.
But I'm not staying too late anymore.
Well, that's good. Okay, so now the very important question out of this: how is Pap doing?
Oh, Pap. He's good. He's stubborn. And now I see where I get that from.
So you get it honestly.
I'm living with myself. But he's good. He just turned 96.
96 is still just a pistol, which bodes well. You got good genetics there.
Yes.
All right, and then the last, make sure you tell them I said hello, but the last question is, if someone wants to utilize your services, how do they get in contact with you?
You can call, you can email, you can text, whatever is more convenient for you.
Office number?
Office number is 814-689-1741.
And email?
btressler@settlementsdirect.com.
And your website?
Is www.settlementsdirect.com.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll obviously put all that information on this video, but I appreciate you spending time in the whip, and I can't tell you how happy I am that there's a little munchkin coming. And I'm more than willing to do some babysitting duties. I'm an expert at changing poopy pants. And again, best of luck in 2018. Knock it out of the park as you usually do.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.